So if you guys want to get any social things going, back to that. Refresh. Open up my browser for the quiet keyboard. Something I've tried to respond back to the fans. And the quiet keyboard. Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, and we should be live right now. Yep. Yep. We should be good. And oh geez, what is this? Week 15 suspension?
Yeah, I mean, it's been since March, mid-March. It's almost July. Yeah, like that trailer for Hamilton came out and I was like, that's 2 weeks away. I'm not ready for that.
My wife said like a live action Jungle Book's on Disney Plus, or like they just had a trailer for it or something. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, maybe it's come. I mean, they have had a live action Jungle Book. I don't know if it's on there or not yet. Live action Jungle Book was pretty good. Jon Favreau did it.
Nice. Well, it's definitely gonna be good then.
Because he did that, and that's how he landed the Lion King job. And even though I didn't particularly care for it, it made Disney a lot of money. So now they just let
Which Disney likes a lot.
Which Disney likes a lot, and which they're like, okay, if you want to go hang out with Dave Filoni and invite all your buddies to make Mandalorian movies, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, whatever gets them to do that.
So, I haven't found a single adult that says they like the live-action Lion King better than the original.
I don't know any kids who think that. It's not particularly good.
I haven't seen it yet. I saw the reviews and I was just like, ugh.
I mean, it's pretty much just a shot-for-shot remake, so.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing I heard, and I was like, why do I want to watch a shot-for-shot remake with different voices? Like, I love the people in the first one.
And it's noticeably worse.
Okay, got the Reddit social, got the Twitter social, going to YouTube so I can type and not go crazy, and then I'll put on my headphones and stop any echo that's probably happening. I apologize if anyone has joined us, which I don't think.
And like anybody that you replace Nathan Lane with is an immediate step down.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, I watched it, and I was like, I don't know that I have anything to recommend. I mean, I don't fault Jon Favreau for that.
No.
You know, it's just...
How do you back up a masterpiece like that? You can't.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, The Lion King didn't need any improvements.
No, it really didn't.
Which, I mean, like, that's what, like, I mean, like, Aladdin, like, I enjoy the live-action Aladdin, but I wouldn't say it's better than the original. I mean, it adds a few things. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting.
No,
maybe for a sequel, go over there for
No, Beauty and the Beast is one where they did something a little different, and they explored her mother, and they explored her relationship with the Beast in the castle for a little bit more in depth, and why she fell for him instead of just being Stockholm syndrome.
See, I didn't like that relationship, but I mean, I do agree with you. They tried. I still think their best live-action adaptation to date is Cinderella.
Yeah,
maybe
because they really went in depth into a character, went really in depth into her relationship with the prince, and added a lot more. Because I mean, like, those are the movies where you're like, when you actually watch the movie, it's like, wow, this is pretty much a bunch of mice running around to fill in story time. And so they actually filled in with story.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing with Dumbo. Now, I didn't think Dumbo was successful, but I at least appreciated like them trying to do something.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet either. I just know, like, I appreciated Beauty and the Beast for giving us something different and giving us a different take instead of just like, oh, hey, here's the original movie all over again.
Yeah.
Because I still say Beauty and the Beast is the best of that era.
All right. Are we talking Disney since we're playing the MLS is Back tournament at Disney? That, I don't know. That
Sure.
That's ESPN Disney. That's it. Well, I am ready to go. We got the social going. We got a couple people who have joined us. Welcome. We are just getting ready to get this started. So we're going to be talking about.
You didn't know it? Next week, Disney Movie Week at MLSFI.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! It's bananas. It could be. We could do that. We have been looking for fun episodes. So all right, are you guys ready for this?
Reid's about to come down. He's got to know.
That's right.
To watch.
I got to know. I've watched a lot.
Blayne and I, we've watched them all.
I watched a lot recently. Of them growing up. All right, here we go.
You haven't watched Frozen 2.
That's true.
Every
I haven't
day
watched any of the Frozens.
3 months.
None of the Frozens.
Hey, I still haven't seen any Frozens. We don't do that in our house.
All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the MLS Fantasy Insider Podcast. Our week 15 suspension episode? I don't know. What is this? It's almost over. That's all that we care about. This episode is brought to you by the Wonderful World of Disney MLS is Back Tournament ESPN Extravaganza. This episode is brought to you by MLSFantasyBoss.com and the amazing supporters of the MLS Fantasy Insider Patreon community. You guys are awesome. I am so looking forward to being back playing with you all beyond the little mini tournament we have, but the actual fantasy game. Thank you so much for your continued support. And at the beginning of next month, I'm going to have a special announcement for you all. Spoilers. I'm your host, Reid Connolly from MLSFantasyBoss.com, and tonight I'm joined by my partners in fantasy, Michael Denton and Blayne Riffle. How are you guys doing?
I'm good.
Doing well.
Thanks for joining, guys. Thanks for you all for tuning in today. We had a little break in our schedule. As you know, we've been going through the best MLS Fantasy 11s, XIs, best teams of all time from 2012/13 through current, depending on when we could get stats for. And we did each position. We broke down each position based on our personal preferences and how we determined we thought a best should be. Well, I've crunched the numbers. We had a late start tonight because I was trying to get some of the numbers finalized and crunched. It was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. But now we are going to back up our best 11 with actual numbers. And the fun thing tonight is Michael and Blayne do not know the numbers. They've not seen the spreadsheet. I've not shared anything with them ahead of time. And so I'm going to let them guess what players they think, which players, who they think will be on the lists. And then I will announce who's there. Now, I have lists for total score. I have lists for points per game, and I have lists for points per 90 for each position. I will say that 2012 was left off of all these calculations because I just don't have accurate stats for all of the players at this position. The other huge controversial thing that I have done is if a player was a midfielder and a forward, I tried to overlap them where I could when I could find them when I was doing this to give them credit for points, because the majority of the largest point producing stats are going to carry over. Just mostly it's clean sheet bonuses with midfielders that are going to be weird. However, if a player was a defender moving to a midfielder or a forward, I did not change those over. I split them because there's such a huge difference in bonus point generation and goal bonuses and everything there that I just did not think that was fair. So I'm sure in a few minutes we will get to one of the ones arguably the most controversial with that decision. But it was my decision to make, and I made it happily. So are you guys ready for this?
I mean, I haven't seen the numbers, so no.
Well, I guess that's fair. I
am intentionally not ready for this. I'm intentionally unprepared, which was part of my preparation for this podcast.
I guess I should have said, are you excited for this? Are you excited about getting our final Fantasy 11 entry, our final episode here.
Yeah, I mean, I already told you all what the best 11 was, but I mean, if you want to cloud the information, cloud it with facts, fine.
So we're going to do. And, of course, last week we had the little break between our series because the MLS tournament is back on. MLS is back tournament, I guess is the official way to say that. And there's going to be a bracket game. There's no announcement about any more details after that, so keep checking back to the bracket site. I'm sure the more information is going to be coming out soon. This is starting back up on the 8th, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's easing our way back into fantasy, just as we're easing our way back into the season. Okay, fellas, here we go. I've got stats for goalkeepers in front of me right now, and I'm going to have you guess. So, who do you think? We'll just let it be fun. We'll do. Who do you think the top 3 are? But of course, with the fantasy roster rules, we can only have 2 goalkeepers. So the top 2 goalkeepers are the ones who are actually going to be on our final list, but we'll let you guess top 3 just for funsies.
Are we doing per game or over the?
This will be total score. Yeah, good point. This will be total score first. Yes.
All right, so I'm going to guess Raimondo is 1. Just kind of going through all the ones who have been there for a long time.
Raimondo was my number 1 as well, just because of number of years he played. And he's been pretty good for all those years, too. My number 2, I'll just cut in front of Mike here. I think I'm going to go with Luis Robles here. I think he's had one of those long careers, Iron Man type. It's kind of a toss-up, and Mike can take the other half of that Iron Man series, or Iron Man position if he wants to.
No, I think you're probably right. I was trying to figure out, I know there's another long-standing keeper, and it's probably Robles. Robles would be my guess, too.
The only other one I was going to say that Mike didn't take then was Stephen Fry up in Seattle. He's had one of those long-ish careers. I don't remember exactly when he joined the league, so I don't know if he's had it, but he's been on a stellar defense every time he's been here.
See, I'm thinking Fry is per 90 because I think he's only halfway through.
And then I guess I gotta give an honorable mention. I'll go with Fry, Robles, and Raimondo for mine. But I think Bill Hameed could easily slip into this list too. I think he's been around long enough, and even though he had that year out, he was pretty lights out with DC for a while.
But didn't he have 2 years out?
We're starting to consider guys though. Besides Robles, I'm thinking everybody's missing a couple of years in here though. I mean, if we're gonna start missing 3 years, you can throw Amelia into the list too. But he only got like half of 2015, and then he's played on through. But he's had a couple of injuries as well. So when we start looking at games in that, I'm gonna stick with my 3 I said. But I think Hameed could slip onto this list.
All right, well, here you go. You guys have great instincts when it comes to this. So based on total score, we have Luis Robles as the number 1 fantasy keeper in the 3.0 generation, and then Nick Raimondo as our number 2 keeper. And number 3 is Stephen Fry, right there with... these are rough estimates from my calculations, but we have 1,287 points for Robles, 1,126 points for Raimondo, and then 1,125 points for Fry. In 4th place is Shawn Johnson with 1,033, and in 5th place is Bill Hameed with 1,018. Interestingly enough as well, our top 4 all have over 20,000 minutes. So during this time, that's a lot. That's a lot right there. So good job.
Yeah. I was trying to think. I was like, when has Shawn Johnson been in the league? But I also knew, even though he's been in the league for a while, he was with Chicago, and I didn't think he was getting too many clean sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the Chicago bias there, I think, really tripped us up.
Yeah.
But I guess Chicago's defense was bad enough he was getting save points all the way through that, even if he wasn't keeping the clean sheets, which helped his average stay up higher.
Yeah. So now we're going to move over to total points per game. only 1 year did I not already have the total points per game calculated, so I could just add it up. I had to do some math with some rough estimates because of the way fantasy kept its scores that year. So these are pretty accurate, though. So, all right, total points per game, goalkeepers.
I think it'll be Melia 1, Fry 2.
I'm going to be right about there, too. I think it's going to end up being Melia, Fry, and I think Melia's new guy to the left. I'm debating on whether Andre Blake could rocket into this place. Smaller body of work, but he's had his really, really good games. And the other guy I know that just has an insane floor is Evan Bush. And I don't know if either one of those two have enough, or if they're going to be dragged down by their weaker games, less clean sheet chances.
Per game, I'll throw out Guzan maybe, because he's got a ton of clean sheets in the short time he's been here.
All right. Well, the actual results: number 1 with 41.6 points per game, Bill Hameed, right there. Number 2, 39.76, Nick Raimondo. And number 3, 38.19, Luis Robles. After that was Stefan Fry and Jeff Atenella. Tim Melia actually ranks down at 17th overall when we're looking at points per game. And the only reason I can assume that is because in 13 and 14, Tim Melia had played 180 minutes in 13 and got 6 points. Then in 14, he played 79 minutes and got -2 points. Otherwise, he had some fairly average scores until more recently. But I guess those early ones kind of hurt his overall. And some of the other guys just had amazing points. I mean, he still has. Let me get back to Melia.
Those first 2 years off where he was a pool goalkeeper getting called up.
And he still has almost 31 points per game, so which is pretty wild. His total score is only 881 points, so he's pretty far off of
881. How many games played?
I only have minutes. Total minutes I have is 16,215.
Okay.
Of course, this is just regular seasons.
I guess for our guesses, how are you doing your calculation here? Are you adding up their points per game?
I did. It's probably not the most scientific thing.
That's going to weight it very heavily to who's played longer.
Yeah.
Because Raimondo's got so many seasons to add up. What if you just did points divided by minutes divided by 90? Like, do minutes divided by 90 to get your number of games, and then do that. What do the calculations change to really quick?
Well, we're not going to do that real quick because that's math and setup, and we're just going to do with what I did this time. Now, if it makes you feel better, for points per 90, I did total points divided by total minutes played times 90. So I did the math for that one. But for points per game, I already had the numbers in a column, and I just used addition. It's crazy. The final chart that I'm putting out is going to be total score. So, but this is just for funsies.
I was just assuming that points per game would be over career, not added up season by season.
Well, it's not actually right, and it's not the total careers too, because some of these guys had more, but I don't have 12. Anyway, blah blah blah. Total points per 90 overall. So here we go. Points per 90. Who do you think?
Well, that's kind of what I gave you last time, so I'll know for the next one.
Same for me.
Yeah, I mean, Mealy is still my number 1, and points per 90. Yeah.
No, Melia is higher. He is at 9th, but number 1 is Vito Monone, who came in just last season, but with 5.56 points per 90 with his one there. Number 2 is Brad Guzan with 5.39 points for 90. I guess actually Melia is 8th. And then after that is Bill Hameed with 5.21. I didn't do a lot of adjustments here, but Ryan Mera was actually number 2, and he only had 450 minutes played and 27 points. So I was like, well, I'm going to throw him out. I'm not really going to count that. It's not quite good enough, so I took a little bit more. But so yeah, Vito Monone, Brad Guzan, and Bill Hameed once again getting into the list. So that's how keepers shape out. Let's move on to defenders. This one was wild. Defenders was a mess. There were so many defenders, and it's all absolutely ridiculous. And this was the last column that I got fixed up. So, okay, guys, once again, top scoring defenders. I need 5 positions this time. If you want, you can only give me 3, and then I'll tell you who all 5 were. But we have 5 positions in our fantasy roster, so if you want to throw out 5 names, I'd really appreciate it. And I think the fans would too.
Well, for the fans, I will throw out 5.
Okay.
Opara, Beasler, Hedges. Okay, maybe I hate the fans. Maybe I'm just gonna say I was about to say Zusi, and then I remembered that you took out the midfield.
I did. I took out that. Well, if you guys need to come together, like to get your 5, Blayne, who are your 3? Maybe Mike can steal some of those. You can steal some of his.
Well, I had Beasler and Hedges as my 1 and 2,
Okay.
and then I was going to throw Chad Marshall up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for longevity. Opara may sneak in at 5, but he had so many season-ending injuries throughout his career. His games are just way down, so I don't know if he's going to make that list. Zimmerman's been around for a long time. I don't know if he's long enough to top this list. I know I'm missing somebody here. I mean, as we look at it, Seth Sinovic could easily break into this list too with just longevity and playing on a good team.
See, I was thinking about Omar Gonzalez, but he's missed a few years.
He missed
Mexico, which I think is 3 years, so I don't think he can make it on this one.
When did Lawrence Simon join the league? Has he been here long enough?
I don't think so. He joined in like 15. I think he's only been here 3 years.
And maybe one of the Red Bulls. Parker came over from Vancouver, but he played really well with Vancouver too. He was part of a solid Vancouver defense. I'm going to throw Parker on my list.
Okay.
That gives me 4.
What about Parkhurst?
Okay. Some good names.
Yeah.
Some good
He's
names
got the
coming out
longevity.
here. So, the most shocking name that I had on here, number 1 highest scoring defender in this era, Andrew Farrell.
Oh, duh.
Andrew Farrell. Over. It's
Wow.
It's over 9,000. Insert meme right there. 919 points is what he have. Over 900 points right there. So that blew me away. I was like, holy crap! Yeah, Andrew Farrell has been here forever. University of Louisville.
And as soon as you say it, it makes perfect sense.
It does. It does. He's been here forever, and that's awesome. So Andrew Farrell is our top fantasy defender. Second, Matt Beasler, 868 points. Third, Matt Hedges, 834 points. After that, Stephen Betashore, 833 points. And rounding out a cool 5th, Ike Opara. Right there. So lots of longevity guys here. We've got mostly center backs going in there, but nice to see Betashore in there. He's moved around. It makes sense with Betashore because he's moved around to a lot of those successful teams to get some good points, and he's been one of the top winger picks most of the years as well for what he can do. So good options right there. Now moving on to points per game. I'll only ask you guys to do 3 for points per game. Score, I'm going to ask you to do 5, but for points per game, I'm going to ask you to do. I'll go easy on you. So, points per game defenders.
I think Hedges is number 1. Maybe it's because we were talking about him before the show, but I think LGP is probably on this list.
I think this goes by duration, Mike. I don't think he's going to be on there. I'm actually going to say Opara is number 1. Just the injury history. He missed so many games, and he's still in the top 5 on overall points. I think that's going to push him to the top here. I wonder if that's going to help Beta Shore out a lot too.
I could see Beta Shore getting helped by that too.
Yeah, I'm going to go Opara, Beta Shore, and then I really think Hedges has got Beasler beat on the points per game.
Where'd you come down, Mike?
Trying to think on my longevity if I want to. I guess I'll drop LGP. I'll probably be more of a per 90 guy. I'll do Marshall, Hedges. Hedges number 1. Marshall. And I'll throw in Parker's. Let's see how that works.
Okay.
Spice it up.
So, number 1, Connor Lade. 63.31 points per game. Connor Lade. He played over 7,200 minutes and scored 383 points, and so he comes up with the best points per game. Again, this is Blayne's. Blayne doesn't like the points per game category here. Number 2, Ike Opara. So there we go right there, 40.72. So a big dip after that. Another fairly big dip. Matt Beasler comes in with 32.35. Sorry. Stephen Betashore, 31.43, and then Walker Zimmerman with 31 even. So gets a little bit crazy. But yeah, Connor Lade, that was another funny one for me because I don't think Connor Lade's ever worked out for me as a defender. Maybe I've gotten a lucky clean sheet from time to time, but most of the time, no. Not at all. He's always been that cheap guy to just throw in and maybe have him be a switcheroo. Is that fair?
Yeah, no. Cameo roles on a great defense. I mean,
true.
Easy to fly under the radar there.
Very true. Very true. All right, points per 90.
I've got LGP. I'll say Marshall. And I'll say Opara too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think LGP and Opara are 1 and 2 here. Number 3 is tough. And now I'm blanking on the name. I know who I want. I just got to find the name. I think he's on my fantasy team this year too, or a draft team of all things. Columbus wingback. I'm just blanking on the name. Awful. Harrison Awful.
Okay, I was going to say
I think he could slide in here.
There's a couple of options there if you wanted that one. All right, well, here we go with this one. Number 1, Ryan Hollingshead is number 1, 6.2 points per game. Yeah, points per 90. Then Aaron Long. You guys were talking about New York coverage a little bit ago. 6.0 right there. And once again, Ike Opara makes the list. So a monster of a defender. You're right, Blayne, even with missing time right there. Ike Opara. Then let's see, what was that? 3. Number 4 is another one that maybe we'll throw off. We'll see. But Kyle Duncan, 93 points, 1,400 minutes. We could throw that one off if we want to. That does give us Chad Marshall, so he comes in here at 4th or 5th, depending on how we're going to do that one. And then again, adjusting for some low points, Omar Gonzalez would be the 5th or 6th. Spot right there. LGP is a few down. He's below Lalas Abubakar, Aro, and then LGP comes in there 5.39 points per game. So they get pretty close. They get pretty close here. Yeah, defenders. That for me was one of the most surprising positions. Was seeing the defenders because I just did not expect Andrew Farrell to come up here, and then having Connor Lade right after that, I was like, I would have never thought that in my life. It sort of makes me sad that we didn't give more love to Andrew Farrell in some of our previous lists, just even thinking back to him playing goalkeeper at one point. Like, the man's just done whatever he's been asked to do, and has clearly been a pretty steadily consistent fantasy point generator. Maybe the award goes to Andrew Farrell as most underrated fantasy player.
Yeah, definitely.
Though he can be expensive at times. I think that was also an issue sometimes with Farrell was that he was consistent, and so his price would go up.
And seeing the raw numbers, I can only imagine just how good Opara would have been if he didn't have like 4 straight season-ending injuries.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. A beast for sure. All right. Here we go. Midfield. This one was fun. I must say I enjoyed this one a lot. So I think you guys are going to get the first name automatically. No problems right there. But give me your top 5 midfielders for fantasy.
Based on total points?
Total points.
Diego Valeri is number 1. I don't even think you have to confirm that one. That's pretty much a given MLS fact at this point. And it's going to be a long time before anybody displaces Valeri. The rest of the list gets tough because there's a lot of latecomers that had lights out years. But I know some of the long-term guys are going to slip into this list. I don't know the order on it, but I'm going to say Zusi and Beckerman both get in this list. Beckerman's just played for so long and been decent for most of that. And Zusi was an all-star caliber midfielder while he was there. And if you're counting in defensive points too, I mean, he's been, been putting up enough numbers.
Nope, not counting defensive points for Zusi. Because the bonus points, I mean, his defensive numbers are inflated so much with those clean sheet points.
Yeah.
I'll throw out a name in here that I'm assuming is going to be on here. I'm going to say Benny Fellhaubert, playing a long time as an attacking midfielder. I can't imagine he isn't on this list. Some other names. Michael Bradley has played most of the time here. I know he misses a few seasons, but just durable and consistency. I'm assuming he'll probably eke on, maybe at the bottom. Had one more name, then I forgot it.
I'll throw out Stash will probably make this list. He was so good with Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Sasha Kleshkin. He was so good, even though he's tailed off a little bit. I think his early numbers are going to keep him in and around this. The other one I'm wondering about is if Ozzy Alonso really has a shot to make this list or not. Just so long. I mean, this is where defensive guys can really shine because they play a whole lot longer. They see constant action. They don't get rotated as much. They a little less boom or bust. They put those 4s and 5s, and if you're putting up a 5 every game, you may have a attacking midfielder. There's better guys in the league now, but back in the day, you had your few really big superstars, but your defensive midfielders were going to win out on average points for a season, and if you put that many seasons together, you're going to be pretty high up this list.
Is that it? Are those your final guesses?
Mike Huru. Oh, Piatti has to be up there too. He's been around the whole time. He's been around almost the whole time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Struggling for guys that have been here long enough.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you guys got some good names up there. You definitely have some good names. So, number 1 total score best fantasy midfielders of all time, 2013 through 2019. We have Diego Valeri, of course, 1,347 fantasy points during that time. Made the top 10 all but 1 year, and that was the year that he was out, injured. So a beast of a fantasy player, 16,000 minutes played as well. So over 16,000 minutes played. So 1,347 points. Diego Valeri, easily number 1. Number 2, 1,121 points. Benny Fellhaubert. Yep. longevity definitely plays a big factor here, which makes sense that it also plays a factor to points per game as well for the successful players. Number 3, a name that I did not hear either of you guys mention, Lee Nguyen. 1,105 points. Yeah, Lee Nguyen had a lot of success with New England early on. Decent success with LAFC, at least initially. But yep, number 3 overall right here. After that, Frederico Higuain, another name. He did come in. I did add in his forward numbers from early on. I think the first 3 years might have been forward because those overlap fairly easily. 1,011 points right there. And then number 5, and I think Benny bridges the gap for this category of midfielder. But number 5 is Dax Mccarty. 998 points, representing our defensive midfielders. That's why I said Benny kind of bridges that gap, playing some defense, some offense. So he sort of gets in there. But Dax McCarty solidly our number 5 player right there. You mentioned Piatti, and Piatti comes in at, let's see here. He had I might have missed some. He comes in at 15th. So unless I missed some of his points, he comes in at 15 right there. He falls in behind people like Will Trapp and Ethan Finley. Diego Fagundes.
Did Piatti come to the league?
Maybe I missed something for him. I can do a quick check right here. So I've got, he wasn't in 19, 18, 17,
Wait.
16.
Piatti won in 19.
I didn't have a 19. I may have overlooked it.
He played 14 to 19, so he should only be missing 1 year out of stats.
Well, we can do a quick check. Like I said, this by
Now,
the
he's
time
got
I
some
got
injuries
to,
in there, and he
but-
missed a lot of 19, but
he may have just been too far down. I may have overlooked him. By the time I got to midfielders, 2019, my eyes were really starting to cross. When I go, oh, there he is. There's Piatti. 45 more points for Piatti. Okay, let's bring him up to the top of this list right here. Don't want to. Okay, let's add.
Fuzzy math going on.
Fuzzy math. Well, we'll check the other ones. This was a huge project. What are you talking about? 689 plus 45.
Recount.
We're doing it. We got the recount going. We can do it a lot faster than they did in Iowa. Let's see here. We got Piatti. Okay, let's run back. See about this blank. Gosh, they were.
I totally forgot about the Iowa. That was this year.
Let's see here. 13, 14, 15 for Piatti. 14, 15. The most fun. Yeah, I don't know how I missed that one. That's a solid 150 points right there. The most fun part about doing this was seeing a lot of these old names, and like Sebastian Latou and people like that. So that was fun to see a lot of these older names be like, I remember that. Okay, he's coming up really quick here. 884. He's jumping up. He's over Ethan Finlay now. Okay, Piatti. 2014 Piatti. Go. Only 39 points in 14, so not many right there. And then one more check just to be sure. Yep, that was the last one right there. So our modified score for Piatti. My fault, everybody, for missing that one. Makes him 6th. Just shy of Dax McCarty, but over Sasha Kleshchin. Ignacio Piatti, 923 points, makes him number 6 on this list under Dax. Sasha Kleshchin, 858. Kyle Beckerman, 800. So a couple of bad years for Sasha. Get lumped in there when he went down to Orlando and everything. So some of the bumps in there. But Michael Bradley comes in after Kyle Beckerman. So definitely defensive midfielders show better in some of these overall scores because of their consistent points right there. So
Yeah, consistent points, and a lot of them stay in the league and have been here
for a long time. Yeah, like you see, Miguel Almiron is in the 20s. So, and so there were some players that I didn't capture. If I just knew they weren't going to be in this top 5, 6 kind of area. So there were some players, especially early on, like Sebastian Latou's and people like that. Landon Donovan's, I didn't capture some of these people, so because I knew they weren't going to be in these higher levels. So some of these guys may be slightly different. I did get Javier Morales because he was such a beast, over 700 points right there. But I feel pretty good about the higher levels.
So, Mike, we can feel pretty good. We listed off all the guys pretty much in the right order, got all the big names, except for the few we just absolutely missed.
Yeah. Right, except for the ones you didn't get, you got them all.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to points per game. Let's see here. I don't know how to fix that. I can fix that for Piatti, I guess, real quick, while you're telling me who your guesses are. Points per game.
I think Lee Win goes higher on this list because he missed some. I don't think he was here at the very beginning of 3.0. Plus, he didn't play every game for LA, which may bump his average up. Defensive midfielders should fall off.
Piatti should be high on this. I think I'm trying to think about Benny Fellhaubert because Benny would get rotated a bunch.
I think Benny will keep his top 5 spot, but I don't know that he moves up.
No, I don't think he moves up.
Yeah, I think Piatti comes up into here though.
Yeah. I mean, Valeri should still be number 1.
Yeah, Valeri should still be number 1.
Okay, so this is
Lee Win benefits. Yeah, Benny, Piatti, Valeri, Lee Win. Who's a 5th one, Mike?
So Landon wouldn't have played enough to get in here.
Did Sasha sit enough at Orlando to really boost his average into the top 5, or his points per game into the top 5? He started taking no scores or 0 scores every week when he stopped playing every week.
Yeah, I'm not sure he stopped playing every week. I think he was on the field.
See, I didn't pay enough attention to.
I mean, I'm fine with throwing him out as our 5th.
Yeah.
We hadn't have as far as longevity goes.
I mean, Bradley's been way up there, and Bradley missed a few years. He missed at least 13, and I don't know if he came in 14 or 15. Because he's hovering just outside the top 5. But you take out an entire year's worth, his points per game is going to go up.
So, I think what year he came.
I know it wasn't 2013 because he played in the All-Star game for Roma in Kansas City because I was there. So at the very earliest, 14. And I'm not sure if he signed in 14 or 15. Because he came in at the same time.
It would have had to be 14, right? Because Giovinco comes in 15.
Okay, that may be right. Or did they spend all at once? Did they get Josie, Bradley, and Giovinco all at the same time?
No, it was Josie, Bradley, and...
they had that year with Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah, that's it. Jermaine Defoe.
Okay, so...
And then Jermaine Defoe doesn't work, and then they signed Giovinco.
He came in... Did he come in halfway through 14? Did he come in after Roma finished their season in 14 and after the World Cup? I think he was a post-World Cup return.
Are you guys ready for the numbers?
Yeah, so I'll say Bradley's my 5th one in there.
All right, so number 1, we have Diego Valeri, of course, 40.72 points per game. Next, we have Frederico Higuain, 34.58 points per game. I think a lot of that was helped early on by getting some of those passing and assist numbers that he had as a forward. Then number 3, Piatti, comes in 31.82 points per game right there. Then Dax Mccarty, 31.52 points per game. So even defensive midfielders holding tough. And then final in our top 5, Benny Fellhaubert, 30.04 points per game. After that, Lee Win, Kyle Beckerman, Graham Zusi gets a little bit high up there. Some of those names, Sasha Kleshchen further down, Michael Bradley below Sasha. So definitely some drop-off right there. Bradley, only 21.27 points per game. He's had a lot of dud seasons. Definitely more of a leadership guy than necessarily a fantasy points production guy. Okay, and finally, total points per 90. Who do you guys think? This is, I guess, do you guys view this as the great equalizer?
Points per 90 is probably my second favorite stat when comparing players.
What's your favorite stat? Goals plus?
Points per 90 per dollar.
Points per 90 per dollar. Okay, well that is not part of
That's very
this.
tailored to MLS fantasy.
Yes,
though.
yes, it is. It is.
So I'm gonna assume that per 90, number 1 is Almiron. Number 2, Ladero. 3, Valeri.
Blayne, you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, I think
scared.
those three go kind of in that order. Mike's probably not going to say it because it's his own team, but I would put Maxie Morales up there in the top 5.
See, Maxi, his last season would get him in the top 5. I'm trying. The first season was
had him in draft the
good.
first
It
season,
wasn't
and
as,
he was
as
solid.
amazing. Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's solid and then amazing.
And that puts you up there because you're talking a smaller sample size here. I'm wondering if a guy like Atuesta, who's only had really 1 or 2 seasons, but played at that consistent high level, will make it. I think Atuesta could slip in here.
Okay, well, Morales came in 2017, correct, Mike?
Yes.
That
sounds right.
I was gonna say.
He's been here 3 years. Yeah, I guess so.
I think so. That's what I have with my stats. So, yeah, low first stats. So good. Blayne is back. Number 1 overall, 8.19 points per 90. Nico Ladero, right there, 8.19. Right behind him, 8.15. So I can see how this would be a close toss-up. Miguel Almiron, right there, number 1 and 2. Number 3, Alejandro Pozuelo, a name that was not mentioned. Yeah, he had some great production right there. 7.95 points per game, 0.90 per 90. Number 4, our second favorite, or maybe third favorite name to say in MLS Fantasy Insider, Carles Gil. 7.76 points per 90. And number 5, Maxi Morales. So, yeah, that first year didn't do great, but having 2 back-to-back years of over 200 points definitely helped his points per 90 right there. Maxi Morales, I will also say, is the second highest minutes played in this top 5. Nico Ladero has 78, almost 7,900 minutes played, and then Maxi has 7,773 by my calculations. Of course, this doesn't have any tournaments or anything like that, so this is just what I've recorded from the game.
Yeah, Carlos Gil being in there makes too much sense.
Lots of good production.
1 season, 1.5 seasons there.
Something. Let's see here. Carles Gil. Pretty much that's just 1 season. That's just 2018.
Yeah.
Right there. So let's see. I think Carles Gil, probably our third favorite name. Number 2, David Villa, I think, is probably our second favorite name, and then that leaves Axel, or Axel as our favorite name to say, or would it be Madunyanin?
Axel's our favorite one to say.
Yes, no, Axel, yeah, Hoberry, that's our favorite name.
Yeah, I mean, Axel Hoberry, we went whole season picking him and saying his name.
Just to say his name. That's correct. I mean, we like, and David Villa is just how we like to jokingly. Maybe Madunyanin
Right.
is the actual second favorite one to say. But there we go. All right, let's move on to forwards. This was such a difficult choice for you guys to make whenever you actually had to pick your personal favorites. Is it going to be any easier picking your top forwards right now? You only have to give me 3 because that's all that our roster allows for.
Number 1 is Wanda.
Okay.
I think we agonized over it enough that I think we can do it.
You've come to terms with it now. Okay.
Yeah. My number 1, I think I'm still gonna stay with this. Bradley Wright Phillips. Wanda was good.
He was going to end up doing 2.
Yeah, Wanda was good, but Bradley Wright Phillips did it better longer.
I'm trying to think. Maybe over this part, you might be right.
Yeah, Wanda was a between 10 to 15 goal a season guy for most of his career. I mean, guaranteed 10 goals a season through MLS 3.0 for the most part, but
He's got a few 20 seasons in here.
He's got a couple, but Bradley Wright Phillips had just set the record for goals scored over a 3-year span. I think he had a 27 and a 28 in that set each. So that more than makes up for the couple of 20s Wando had and then some. Number 3, I'm gonna go a little homer because I think it's the way 3.0 breaks. I think Dom Dwyer's gonna get in here for long term. Over that 3-year span that Bradley Wright Phillips set the most goals in a 3-year set, Dwyer was right behind him. The only other one that might knock him out for like longevity is Kai Kamara. He's only missing 1 year in here.
I think I would put the edge in for Kai.
And that may be the case. Longevity here is where it comes down to it, and I know we're probably missing somebody else, but Robbie Keane's career ended at a point where I don't think he's going to bridge the gap.
I don't think Josie has enough years maybe to get in this conversation, but I don't know with the injuries if that's taken out.
I mean, unless you think Giovinco coming in 2 years off because we only got 13-14 stats.
Now Gio does have
3 years, huh?
He's got 18, he's got 17, he's got 16, and he's got 15. Because he was a midfielder for a year or two, or maybe at least 1 year he was a midfielder, and I did count those points. But Gio has 4 years of stats.
I mean, 4 years of Gio when we're talking about what's only a 6-year stretch? 13 through 19
7
seasons?
years. 7 years.
Well, you're not counting the 12 season. 13 through 19 seasons is all we've got full stats on.
7 years. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Okay.
For those of you listening to us, you should check YouTube at this point and just see me doing some weird counting.
I was
on
doing it on
screen.
the table because I didn't want to do it in front of the camera.
I was doing it below the desk.
2, 3. I use my pinky for 3, and it throws people off.
Yeah, it kind of bothered me.
It bothered Mike. All right. Do you just want me to let you know?
Mike, do you think Gio makes it in here with just 4 years? 4 of 7?
I'm going to say he does.
All right. Number 1, with a score of 1,007 points, Chris Wandalowski. Okay. I think we all knew that one right there. Number 2, 982 points, Bradley Wright Phillips. Number 3, with 898 points, Sebastian Giovinco, right there. So yeah, that he had that 1 year of sub 200. Every other year though was above 200. So that was great stuff for him. Number 4, Kai Kamara, 876 points. So you're right there on point, Blayne. Kai's longevity helped him a lot. After that, David Villa, 833 points. Dom Dwyer, 813. And then Maximiliano Urruti is there, 775 points. He's been in the league a lot longer than I remember him being in the league when I was going back through. And then CJ Sapong, also a long time right here. And then Robbie Keane, right there, sort of. I think he's ninth.
Wow,
I'm Robbie Keane.
That high.
Robbie Keane is 9th, and Joseph Martinez is 10th. Yeah, I mean, Robbie Keane, I told you, like, we had this discussion back in the day. Robbie Keane had 4 seasons with us right here, and he was an absolute beast during that time. So
no, and that's why I kept him in my forwards conversation all the way throughout, because he was just so strong so early. It's just he got cut off. Imagine if he had played his entire career in 3.0.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. So there we go. We have our best 11, which I'll go through once we finish this, and then I'll tell you who is on the field and who is on the subs. So let's move over now to total points per game.
So I'll say BWP should win this one, because I think Wando's going to have a lot of goals just in sub performances.
Yeah.
I would say Giovinco, if he was able to make it on the first list, he should definitely make it on this.
Giovinco should be number 1.
And then I'm going to say David Villa, based on what you just told me. He's on the list. Because, I mean, he was pretty solid throughout his
And see,
career.
I'll go... Yeah, because points per game's weighted a little bit more. I think you're going to be right with David Villa, but I think Joseph Martinez might be able to clip him right here.
Okay, so number 1, points per game. We have Chris Wandalowski, 30.55. Number 2, Maximiliano Urruti with 29.98. And then with 28.50, Bradley Wright Phillips. And after that, we have Kai Kamara, Dom Dwyer, and then Sebastian Javico and David Villa. So it's pretty tight.
Reid's calculations heavily weight towards number of years played.
Yes.
Which is fair.
My calculations heavily weight that way. So yeah, there we have that one for you. So this is, let's see here. What did I do right there? Those are games. And then I'm doing Blayne's. I think I did your. So we've got points per game. Oh, that's not right at all. All right, I was trying to do some extra quick math. This is why I didn't do it first time, Blayne, because I didn't do it right because I was trying to do it quick. So moving on, total points per 90. Who do you think wins this one?
It's the age-old debate. Is it Giovinco or is it Vela?
I think it's Vela, Giovinco, Martinez.
And I'm torn. Giovinco's got the assist. I think Vela's number 1. I think Giovinco's got the assists and everything, but Martinez just that goals per 90 average that he has is just insane. I don't know if that's enough to bypass Giovinco. I don't know. And I'm not sure he ever eclipsed the numbers. Oh, it's so tough. Just to be different, I'll say Martinez and then Giovinco.
J-Mart doesn't have the assists or anything else. It's pretty much just sheer number of goals, which I mean is astounding. But Giovinco got the passing stats. He's got double-digit assists in pretty much every season he's in.
So the advantages that these players have, just so you guys know, for compared to Joseph Martinez, Carlos Vela has played almost 2,000 fewer minutes than Joseph Martinez for how that's played. And then while Sebastian Giovinco has played almost 2,600 more minutes than Joseph Martinez, he's also scored almost 250 more points than Joseph. So number one with a total points per 90 of 10.84, Carlos Vela. Number two with a total points per 90 of 9.34, and I'm shocked we didn't even hear this name, but Zlatan is number two for total points per 90. He has 4,753 minutes played and 493 points. So he was putting up the numbers. And then number three is Sebastian Giovinco, 8.4. Following him is Joseph Martinez with 8.3. So very close right there. After that, Hebert is number five. So there you go. And then David Villa. Those are very close, 7.8 and 7.4 or 7.7. So very close. Hebert is actually only... oh no, sorry, I read that wrong. I thought he was just a little bit behind Martinez, but he's got a good lead on him. So yeah, that's where we fall right there. It was this was an interesting one, for sure. I think I might have left a little bit off for Darwin Quintero because I know he played around at some different positions, but he just doesn't have the points to really crack up any higher. But yeah, that was fun. So now our final thing. Any big surprises in forwards before we move on? I still think defenders had the biggest shocks for us.
It shouldn't be a surprise that Zlatan's up there for points per 90. But I still don't feel bad about leaving him out of my forwards list.
All right, here we go. Our best 18. Here are the 18 players we had to choose from. We have Robles and Raimondo back in goal. We have Farrell, Beasler, Hedges, Beitashour, and Opara on our defensive line. We have Valeri, Fellhaubert, Higuain, McCarty as our midfielder options. And then Wandalowski, Bradley Wright Phillips, and Sebastian Giovinco are our forwards. So with this 18, the best 11 fantasy of all time for MLS Fantasy version 3.0, as defined by us, is a 3-5-2 formation with Robles in the back, Farrell, Beasler, and Hedges right there in the middle. Then Valeri, Fellhaubert, Higuain, and McCarty, everybody right there. And then up top, Wando and BWP. Giovinco actually does not make our team because he has fewer points than all of our midfielders and fewer points than Bradley Wright Phillips. So while he does score better than our defenders, we can't have two defenders. So sorry, that's just
so basically a 2014 MLS All-Star team. Players.
That's kind of what it looks like. So yeah, this was pretty fun. So yeah, that's it. I'll make up a graphic of that and post it on there. I'll also work up. I've got the notes from our previous conversations for what Mike and Blayne and myself had mentioned. So I'll try to get some of these graphics put up there. But that is the best 11 for fantasy. This has been fun. Did you guys enjoy this little distraction as we're leading up into MLS is back?
Yeah, it was a good little exercise. I really
good little
do
mental
miss
exercise.
I'm still
kind of mad Patrick Mullins didn't make any of these.
I didn't check for Will Bruin, so I know he's got some longevity. Quincy Ameriqua, of course, was on here a lot, but I didn't add up his numbers. I probably should have with his great support. I'll do that off screen.
I really want to do kind of a MLS Fantasy Insider 11 of just the guys we're either always talking about that we shouldn't be, or just the ones that we always kind of gravitate towards. Just
Possibly.
Because it's our list of 11 guys that we love, even if we probably shouldn't. Like Mullins makes that list for sure. Madranda's there. Guys that don't get the credit on the field or with the stats.
Well, how about we do that as homework? Because next week we're going to do something a little bit different because it is leading back up to the MLS is Back tournament, and it's the 4th of July weekend that's coming up. We know a lot of people have plans, and so we're going to take a little break next week. We're still going to have a short podcast that drops that's going to announce some cool stuff for our Patreon followers. So if you are a Patreon follower, be sure you have all of your address and information updated, because I'm going to make some big announcements next week, and I'll be sure to send out messages this week on Twitter. But we're going to have a pre-recorded episode that drops on Monday, and with that Patreon information. But here's your homework. Start thinking about who your fantasy best 11 is. Who do you love? Not just like what we did last week for who we loved. Who do you love? Who do you talk about? Who can't you not have on your team? Who's your favorite scrub defender? That's your homework. Think about that, and just send those out. All of next week, since we won't have the show, we'll have the quick show. You can just tweet those out at me. It'll be a lot of fun. But the plan is we will be back on the 6th with another live episode. We should definitely have all the information we need for the MLS's back tournament, so we can talk a little bit more about that and those matchups and those games, and it should be a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens, and if not, we'll just take a little break, or we'll do some fun stuff. Like Mike was saying earlier, we might have a Disney episode, or we might have a Star Wars episode, which doubles as a Disney episode, and anything else that we want to do. So if you have an idea of just some fun stuff you want us to talk about, send it to us. Soccer, not soccer, anything. We're just here to have fun as things are starting to open back up, and just to help keep everybody's mental health up. So any final comments, guys? Mike?
No, just hopefully just get back to some soccer real soon.
Blayne?
Yeah, nothing really from me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening tonight, and good luck.